Yo, what's up, man? It's your boy James Harris. Bringing you a video, man, on men and depression. I know right now there's a lot of men out there depressed, but don't know how to recognize these specific symptoms or don't feel they're depressed because they still think depression is a female diagnosis. So, pretty much, I just want to break it down, give you guys the basics so you can potentially get help not only for yourself but for the people around you. But to be honest with you, depression is not a gender specific diagnosis. Anybody can be depressed. The symptomology looks different in men and women. You know, some of the displayed symptoms also look can look different. So, to be honest with you, men and women both experience depression. But the symptoms do look very different. So men who are depressed often, they appear angry, aggressive, or sad, and their family and friends and doctors may not even know it or recognize it as a depression. Just based on those symptoms, they're probably tied to or put it in another category, and because they can't recognize those symptoms, but oftentimes they are. So depression is one of those things that affect the ability to feel, think, handle daily situations. So stress is normal, but how we respond to stress, and if stress prolongs for a 2 week period or more, that's when you can get clinically depressed or major depressive disorder. And we get those criteria based on the DSM-5 diagnoses. Men with depression often feel sad, tired, have a loss of interest in work and pleasure, stop hanging out with their friends and families. Some of the physical symptoms look like heart racing, tightness of chest, ongoing headache, digestive issues, and different mental health problems can derive from this diagnosis. And what's weird about it, many men tend to see a doctor for the physical symptoms and not necessarily the emotional symptoms that I just mentioned. And of course, we know that depression can lead to suicide, and suicide among men turn to, drug use, alcohol use, because it's the ability to cope with those physical symptoms. Also, women tend to attempt suicide more, but men complete suicide more, and with more, of course, lethal means such as gunshots and reckless behavior that lead to suicide. All right. So some of the signs and symptoms of depression can vary again between the display of how women and men tend to display them, but some of the symptoms that men often display is, of course, anger, irritability, aggression, feeling anxious, restlessness, loss of interest and pleasure, problems with our sexual desire or the performance, feeling sad, empty, stuff like that. Of course, thoughts of suicide. Engaging in high-risk activities, those things can be linked to depression. And of course, alcohol use or drug use, withdrawing from family, friends, coworkers, and stuff that you normally do. I mean, I've had guys tell me, man, I'm on a D1 scholarship. I'm playing middle linebacker. Depression is a female diagnosis. There's no way I can be depressed. So once we break down the symptoms that I just broke down to you, I'm like, yo, boss, hey, when was the last time you ate, man? How are you sleeping? Are you waking up throughout the night? Are you able to sleep? When was the last time you just hung out and enjoyed your teammates? So when they break it down like that, they understand, like, oh man, I'm tripping. I am depressed. It has been a while. I have been isolating, or my appetite hasn't been the same. All right, cool. So now that we know what it is, we can treat it. So it's definitely important to not categorize you as being too macho or letting your ego cloud your judgment of potentially being depressed, because it's important, again, not only for you, but for your um, family, your coworkers, your teammates, if you are playing sports, or your children, of course. So some of the causes of depression can vary. We got the genetic factors, which, you can have that family history of depression, and it's more likely to develop within you, such as other mental illness can be genetically, you can be predisposed to it based on that. Of course, the environmental factors like financial problems, loss of a loved one, difficulty in relationships, or if you are on a team, you probably didn't start or something like that. So some of those different things can trigger a depression state. So, and another thing can trigger is illness. So, we're dealing with this COVID situation now, and that right there can bring on additional stress and other medical issues, such as diabetes, cancer, heart disease, Parkinson's. All of those things can make one depressed if they are diagnosed, because they don't know how to deal with or handle the ongoing news of those things. So It can go vice versa too. You can get depression, and it can enhance your ability to get those things based on those physical symptoms. And of course, medication assists. So definitely be able to identify your triggers and stuff like that is good. Trying to find the root of why you're upset, why you're depressed, or why has this stress lasted beyond a 2-week period. That also helps. So if you are dealing with a man or a loved one that's dealing with depression, ensure that you offer them support, understand, and have patience with them too, because it's not as easy for him to want to open up if he doesn't know that you're going to validate his feelings or be there to support him. Of course, listen carefully, talk to him, refer him to somebody. It's so many resources out there. Psychology Today, NAMI.org, my website, mentalheal.com. I got a resource link on there, or they can email me, ask me questions. Help him increase not only his physical health by getting physicals or social activity like hiking, basketball, playing sports, interacting with his friends, family. Encourage him to report about, these different things to his medical provider. His medical provider may say, oh man, let's get you over to a mental health check, or hey, these things can lead to different things. So they can go both ways. So you can do the physical health, get you a physical, and your medical provider may say it, or you can go to the mental health side and they might refer you to get a physical just to see if those things are correlated. So definitely try to get you a doctor's appointment. Early detection works for not only depression, but of course physical issues as well. That's pretty much it, man. If you guys got any questions, hit me up, mentalheal.com, or hit me on the IG, men_TO_HEAL. Again, depression can affect anybody. It's not gender specific. But fellas, do not ignore those signs, man. If you too macho or has that ego in the way, it can turn into something greater than just depression. So now that we know what it is, we can identify it. Let's figure out ways to prevent it and assist you. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit me up if you got any questions.